in. The early bird gets the vampire. Alright. We got relatively stock vampires here. The core of these decks is all very similar. What flexes is like, how many Sanctum Seekers? Do you have a Vona main? What are your removal spells of choice? This build's really non-committal on its removal spells. Got a couple of Legion's End, a Cast Down, a Mortify, just kind of split the difference all around. There's a variety of different things in the sideboard of these decks. One thing that I have felt has been good when I've played against this archetype is Gideon Blackblade out of the sideboard can be really powerful, so I made sure we had a couple of those in the sideboard, but mostly just looked at a bunch of vampire lists and picked out the key details that I liked and skipped over the ones I didn't. We're currently 110. I'm going to go ahead and play this one on the ladder because it's a tier 1 deck. Hopefully we can pick up some free match wins just from it being a good aggro deck. And if we can win more than we lose today in ladder matches, we should hopefully be set through the last week of the month, so that would be ideal. Morning, Jasonette. There's also always the possibility that we, like, hit a bad streak and lose a bunch, but we also still have a week to, like, play things like Sultai Yarok and Aristocrats on the ladder to ladder back up if something goes wrong. Throne releases almost 1 month from today, so Throne will be releasing on Magic Arena on September 25th. Morning, Jin. Howdy, Net. Or Zet. Is like 4 lands these two better than my average 5? Probably not, honestly. I lied. Can I go back and get the other one now? Alright, let's draw a white source. This hand's actually really good if we draw a white land in our first 2 draws. However, if we don't, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. As you will. This is Grixis, definitely a matchup where I'm happy I put a couple of Gideons on my sideboard. Okay, well, any land lets us go Sorin into Champion now, so that's nice. This might be 26 months for me, but it's the first month you need to thank Mrs. Beetle because it's now her buddy too. Thanks for the very generous tier 3, Beetle. Hope the newly wedded life is treating you well. Yep. Just good example of why, you know, playing tier 1 decks isn't guaranteed to get you any wins. I'm sure we'll do plenty today, but, you know, regardless, the point of that comment is regardless of how good the deck is you're playing at any given point, there's going to be lots of games of Magic where you just kind of die and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just kind of something that comes with the game. Devout Decree sounds great. It exiles Creature Bolas. It also exiles Planeswalker Bolas. Definitely want Gideon and Sorin. I probably want to trim like Vona. I don't want anything too expensive. Like the stat line on it isn't particularly good. Thanks for the 16 months up break. I need one more cut as is Jin. I'm at 61 cards at the moment. I'm going to trim a 1-drop here. They probably have Cry and Soot in their deck post-board. So having slightly less of these is probably not a big deal. I might even want Duress in this matchup. Maybe I'm supposed to cut, like, the last 2 Skymarchers and bring in Duress as well. Maybe we'll prefer... Yeah, I guess. This is a really rancid set of hands here today. Excellent start to our tier 1 morning. They brought or left in that's an absurd draw. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance. I'm not quite sure why you would have this card in against vampires. I guess they're just that afraid of my planeswalkers. Because we were, see, for those of you at home taking notes, we very carefully left our 2 good non-creature cards on top of our deck. Our four good non-creature cards on top of our deck. So definitely excited to start Sorining up this guy here. This guy now has 3 toughness, so he is still going to die to Cry this turn if they have it. However, he doesn't die to Moment of Craving, which is nice. And now this plus means he won't die to Moment anymore. They're basically just dead, right? Did I miss lethal? 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I definitely missed lethal here. If I would have plus Sorin and thrown a vampire at them, I would have killed them this turn. But okay, they're effectively dead anyways. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why vampires is great. Yeah, I think I want these copies of Duress. Actually, something interesting to think about. Do I want to split? Would I rather keep Conquistador to this because I have similar amounts of white and black mana on one? So I'd rather have more white 1-drops or equal black and white 1-drops, so I'm more likely to curve out. That's probably the case. Dougal, thank you for the 14-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I have 21... 23 of like 23 creatures. I feel like that's probably a little bit too low. I'm gonna bring in 2 Duress. Wanna keep my threat density up somewhat. If we draw too many like Duresses and Devout Decrees, we're gonna have a real bad time because we're obviously the beatdown in this matchup. Yeah, this is fine. And Dougal, make sure you take a peek at the deck queue, by the way. Let me know if there's something you want to bump up in there for your tier 2. This hand is awful against Legion's End. The fact that we drew the 3rd is real unfortunate. It's also not great against Cry, I guess. Now, if they have a Ritualist here, I am on empty. Or Legion's End. Yeah, this is such a feel-bad card. You just have zero player agency to play around it. The fact that it takes cards out of your hand too is the really feel-bad part. Just because like you really just can't do anything. Sounds good, Dougal. Thanks for the support. And yeah, we're good at this point. Not really, you know, not a lot of player agency. And that's one of the things that I feel like why I tend to avoid decks like this is even though they're good, like we had that really good draw in game 2, and these decks obviously powerful, they put up a lot of results. This is definitely a deck where I feel like a lot of it is you just kind of like run your stuff out and like ask like, is my opponent dead? And like those are therapeutic and nice to a degree, but a lot of it is asking your opponent just like, hey, are you dead yet? As opposed to like actually making like meaningful game-changing decisions. Your most important decisions in decks like this tend to be like what hands you're keeping and how you're mulliganing, as opposed to like having intricate in-game decisions a lot of the time. We're just like kind of doing our thing and then hoping for the best. This deck also, I'm told, does not have a good mono red matchup. Yeah, I agree, Jin. That's one of the reasons why I ended up playing the Arc Field deck in the qualifier, because definitely it's a deck that has a large amount of player agency in my experience. If I had to venture a guess, I'd imagine this is probably one of our better cards in the matchup. To like turn vampires into lightning helixes. If they don't get this past 3/3, we can like play Sorin and shoot this next turn, which is pretty reasonable. How did I do in that tournament? I missed the invite on tiebreakers. I finished 22nd out of over 2,000 people. How do they calculate tiebreakers? The first tiebreaker was the sum of matches your opponents won on the second day of the tournament. And if you got a bye, you got nothing. So I had a bye for one of the rounds, so it just didn't count for any tiebreaker points. What are the odds my opponent has double spell here? I feel like it's pretty low. I'm gonna try and kill this runaway Steamkin. Perfect. Deal. I think I'm just helixing this Chain Whirler here. So we're hoping to dodge Frenzy here is basically what we're looking for at the moment. It's their catch-up card. Start with this, draw a card. Yeah, no Frenzy here probably means we win. Sounds good, Jeh. It'll be up on YouTube this evening as always. Alright, so Legion's End doesn't seem terrible here. Sorin seems fine. Gideon's maybe fine. I'm gonna cut Skymarcher because it dies to Chain Whirler. Oh, that's true, actually. We had Mortify to cover Frenzy. That's a good call. Maybe I don't want Gideon on the draw. I probably don't want too many Champions of Dusk, huh? Although, like, this just being a 4/4 is okay, but 5's a lot of mana. Five's a lot of mana. Too many Adantos on the Vanguard might be bad as well. Gideon may or may not be good. I don't know how I feel about this card in this matchup, especially on the draw. It might not be worth having it on the draw. The fact that it gives lifelink is nice, but this gives lifelink too. Hey, Fancy Penguin, thanks for the 17 months. XM, thank you for the 7 months. And Roth Skeller, welcome. Thank you for the brand new sub. I'm gonna not have this in on the draw. Oh, I have Devout Decree too. Yeah, I'd rather have Devout Decree. Actually, that's probably better than Legion's End a lot of the time, right? Yeah, let's do that. I can't believe I almost missed that one. That would be bad. It's a real shame Devout Decree isn't Celestial Purge in this matchup, because then it could Exile Frenzy. Yeah, Decree should definitely be in my deck. Excellent Hearthstone hand. Very mediocre Magic hand. Need some lands to play this game. Yikes. If we hit a land, this hand's okay. I don't know about great, but okay is definitely a descriptor. We're gonna, like, play this, they're gonna shock it, we'll hit them for 1, they'll untap, and they'll play Chain Whirler, and we'll be really sad. Maybe I should have let on this. It's possible I should have let on this, because there's a Knight of Chain Whirler. Just a Pyromancer is good for us. Alright, I think I just want to play multiple things here, especially since neither of these none of these multiple things died to Chain Whirler. I feel like getting them to burn removal on my non-Legion's Lieutenant is kind of a win, too. Roth Skeller, thank you for the tip. I appreciate it. So get a deck added to the queue. Sounds good. I'll get that added today after we're all done. Thanks for keeping me around. So they hit a Pyromancer and a Lava Coil here. So the question now becomes, do I want to play Lieutenant out into a Lava Coil? I think the answer is yes, just for the sake of resource efficiency. I guess I could also just Devout Decree this, but I think I'd rather save the removal for a Planeswalker or a bigger threat. It might be wrong to attack with this just because it makes it harder to flip this over. Ideally, they don't have a land here, and then they can't go double 2-mana spell. And they have to choose between Lava Coil and Pyromancer here. Now, the scary part about them not having a land here is it means these are 4 spells. That's definitely something to think about. So I assume one of these is dying. Yeah, I think so, Pelly. I think on average forcing them into a controlling role tends to be good for us. Until they frenzy. The problem is when they're controlling and then they get to untap and frenzy us. That's when things get not ideal.
I knew you needed my help. Sit back and watch it burn.
Hey, nice Reaper, congrats. Alright, let's scry into a land here. If we can find some running lands, if we find lands or Sorins, we should be good to go here. Dead you. Yep, they stumbled on lands. We both stumbled on lands there, but they stumbled Just long enough that by the time they got to the frenzy there, it wasn't very useful. And that's peak arena laddering right there. We lost a game, and we dropped 150 spots or whatever, and then we won a game and only gained 100 spots. So like one and one on the day, and we actually lost. We're one and one on the day, and we're down 50 positions. Hey, Wolftree MTG, thank you for the brand new Prime support. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Yeah, it seems pretty good. So, we'll lead on the Conquistador here. This attacks for 2-on-2. I wonder if this match is bad for us. I'd have to imagine, like, this matchup being decent for Dinos is one of the reasons why Dinos is playable. Interested to see how this goes. You've seen people win and lose ranks on the Hearthstone ladder. That's a good system. This matchup feels really bad for Vamps. Have you played it, Jin? Yeah, on paper, you usually want to be the slightly bigger aggro deck, and their deck is definitely bigger than ours, right? Well, it's definitely bad when the opponent has the Stone Cold Nut draw. It's definitely not good when they have the best possible and we actually just draw 3 lands in a row. Alright, I definitely want Despark and Noxious Grasp. I think Legion's End probably isn't good enough here. They had a lot of 2/3s. I don't know that... is Devout Decree good enough? I guess Devout Decree kills their 2/3 Dino. And it kills... sometimes they have Charging Monstrosaur, and they definitely have Regisaur Alpha. I don't know if that's enough to bring in Devout Decree. I think on the play I'm going to leave this out, and on the draw I might bring it in. This does not exile Raptor. It only does red creatures. Oh, you're saying the 2/3 Raptor. I was thinking Ripjaw. Why is this deck not running Field of Ruin for the field matchup? My thoughts would be... curious on your reasoning. Math. Math is the answer. I'd encourage you to... Whenever you have a mana-based question, I'd encourage you to just defer to the mana math article or learn how the hypergeometric distribution works. Alright, well, if we draw a land next turn, we have our old 1-play, 2-play Sorin make a vampire. It's not the draw cards vampire, but Vona's going to be pretty good here, I bet. Alright, deal. Did my opponent really keep a hand that didn't do anything till turn 3? I wonder if we're about to get Flame Swept here. I think Cast Down's actually better than Noxious Grasp in this matchup. I mean, the numbers are technically slightly different with the new mulligan rule, but, like, functionally it ends up being the same. Like basically all your percentages get slightly better, but like none of those percentages are 100%. So like making them slightly better is a good thing. All right, so they have Groll Spellbreaker as well. So I do think I want some number of Devout Decree. I don't know how many though. Maybe Sanctum Seeker's a little bit slow. Just like trim a little bit of my top end. This is actually probably not that good. Let's try this. This is 3, 6, 7, 8 removal spells. It's probably fine. I mean, my opponent also kept 7 there, so like keeping a 7 that doesn't have a play till turn 3 on the draw against vampires probably means you just kept a bad hand. Gideon's a card that's very good against control decks that have sweepers, Kaya's Wrath, Ritualist, etc. Are most vampire decks running one Vona? I don't think so. Come on, just kill my way through this. The card's really annoying for aggro. Yeah, they might. It looks like they are probably just a Groll deck, because they have Thorn Lieutenant and they have Spellbreaker, and we haven't seen any black cards out of them yet, so I don't think they're Jund Dinos. Yikes!
Behold, nature's true power.
So we're dead. I should have... You know, I almost played this deck off the ladder instead of on the ladder. Just because I kind of felt like this was going to happen. The important thing to remember is that, like, for every person you see that, like, does really well with a stock tier 1 deck, there's going to be dozens of others that... There's going to be dozens of others that just, like, don't. Nissa in your Raptor deck is interesting. It's fine. We'll just have to schedule some more Black Red Aristocrats in and Yarok to do the final push next time. Yeah, sounds great. We'll bottom Legion's End. Just have 1, 2, 3. Do beep 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 do. I don't find. I like the Vampires, the deck that exists in the format, but from my perspective, on my side of the table, I don't find the gameplay particularly compelling with a deck like this. It's like these are my things I would like to attack you. Playing against a deck like Vampires with, like, a good mid-range or control deck, it almost feels like a tower defense game in a lot of ways to me. You're like, alright, this is what my opponent's doing, and you're like, alright, I just gotta, like, sculpt my game plan in a way that lets me survive it. The basics are beautiful. I really love the planes. Yeah, I agree, Panza. This is basically like the next iteration of the White Weenie style deck. Concur. How do you get those basics? $1 dues. There's 2 different borderless basic packs you can buy in the store. Yeah, the fact that there isn't always a super clear this is where particular ones come from is a little awkward at times. Oh, they're just taking my Sorin. That makes sense. I was like, oh, whichever vampire they take, I'll have Sorin kill that, but just taking the Sorin makes sense. We're gonna hit them for a bunch this turn, though, right? I'm attacking for 9. I was the person who invented vampires, yeah. I mean, well, if you're gonna twist my arm, I guess. And that was a good example of a game where my plays were good enough. These are my cards, please die. These are my cards, please die. I think I'm just boarding in Noxious Grasp over Legion's End and cast down and clicking submit. Maybe I want this extra cast down. Killing Deputy is pretty good. They're probably on 4 of that card. Morning, Phantom. Happy Thursday, folks. For people who enjoy standard stuff, we're going to be kicking off with standard for the next few streams. I'm taking a short break from modern. It's been wearing on me. I've not enjoyed the last few sets that we've had. That's fine. Just more video game time. The ban list announcement is the 26th. It goes into effect probably on the 28th on Magic Online. But honestly, and this is something I think a lot of people don't understand, is like the ban list isn't even going to fundamentally change anything. Like, it's going to get rid of Hagak, but like, if you look at the matches I've been playing, a bunch of us... If the ban list announcement doesn't unban cards I'm interested in playing with, I don't really care about the ban list announcement. We haven't even been playing against that much Hagak on Magic Online, and the format's just not fun for me. I'm not enjoying the current play patterns that are really popular.
I will protect the virtue of this world. The land fights.
Alright, so we have a Noxious Grasp this time around, so that's nice.
I am in need of rest.
Yeah, that's fair, Synamalis. It has, in fact, never been legal. No, I'm not. I told the person that was getting me cards together in math that I'm just not going this weekend, Reaper. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I think decks like the Urza deck are going to become even more popular after they're likely to ban Hagak on Monday, and playing against the Urza deck is miserable. Just like the types of decks that are good in Modern are not decks that I enjoy playing with or against for the most part. The real big tipping point for me was I was playing, we were playing last week and we went 3-1 with Jeskai tempo, and like we were 3-1 and I was just like, this sucks. It was like whenever I'm playing and like I'm winning and I still feel bad. It's like, if I'm winning and still feeling bad, something is really wrong. So this thing has lifelink, so that's great. I think I'm just going to go ahead and cast this down now. Just so I don't get counterspelled or anything like that. Yeah, something like that, AGH. And honestly, like, a big part of why I'm going to take a break, too, for Modern is, like, I feel like playing it recently, just because I haven't been enjoying it, I've just been complaining a lot. And, like, me sitting there complaining about Modern sucking is just not good content. This is a reason to leave a removal spell up this turn. Hopefully we draw a land next turn, so we can go Noxious Grasp plus play a Lord. Would be ideal, so we can kill this, play this, and then pressure them a whole lot. Perfect. This will be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. They're going to 5. Yeah, and like we've talked about on stream, like, you know, casual Magic with the Modern ban list is great. It's probably some of the best Magic that exists, right? And unfortunately, that's just, like, not what playing Magic Online is. Hey, the Unnamed, thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. We're going to take a pretty sizable hit here. Oh, I'm just gonna die on the backswing, probably. So they have to block these, and then they're attacking me for 6, 12 on the backswing, 13, but I have 2 blockers. So this double abysses them. Uh-oh, they have some kind of big X spell they want to cast next turn. They must have just drawn that, right? Because if they had that already, I was dead if they blocked differently. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 11 mana here. That one's not going to do it. Yeah, the vigilance on the Nissa lands is so savage. Just the fact that they get to do everything is so brutal. Especially considering they stay creatures. Yeah, I think I'm happy with how I sideboarded. Let's just run it back on the play. I'm going to cut the Vona. Am I? Nah, Vona sounds great. They don't really pressure my health total until late. Let's leave Vona in. Maybe I want some Legions in because they kill through Hydras. If we can manage to win this one, we'll be 2-2 with vampires. Morning, Slacker. The problem with creating new Magic formats is that very few Magic formats can coexist and be viable. Get out of here. So what you just said there is what I would like to refer to as FUD, or fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's saying something that's kind of inflammatory and intended to make people feel upset about things that they like based on no factual evidence or basis. One of the greatest things about Magic, and the reason why Magic has survived as a game for as long as it has, is in large part due to the fact that it offers so many different ways to play. So saying that we can't have more formats because it hedges out old formats is not even just incorrect. It's very wrong. Alright, let's be a professional and draw a 5-drop vampire next turn, shall we? 4 or 5-drop vampire, please. I drew show and tell. Give me a 4 or 5-drop. Tilt. Morning, dumping truck. Sets make older formats better, not worse. I think that's a subjective argument. I think there's definitely a strong case to be made that, like, you know, newer cards have made Modern worse than it once was. I don't think that's an unreasonable position to take. I might just Mortify this Baffling End to get me a 3-3 here so we can flip this over. Huh. I guess I could have made this bigger to play around that. That's interesting. I think I'd rather get a 3-3 and leave them the 1-2 than have an extra vampire. Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. The more sets that are in a format, the more powerful it tends to be on average. Nice, Green Sky. So you're dead on board? Yeah, Conquistador is real slick. Yeah, I agree, be rich. We were talking about just Modern and me being kind of disillusioned at the moment and taking a break from it. The modern decks that are in the queue are going to stay there. We're going to get to them at some point, but probably not the next week. We were talking about how even if Hogak gets banned, the modern format people used to love is gone and it's not coming back. Thanks for the 10 weeks, Fred. I appreciate it. I mean, people whine regardless of what gets done with Magic. The big part of why they reverted the faster rotation was because sales numbers were down and standard numbers were down. But a big part of why numbers were down in those cases was because the standard format at that current point in time was really bad. Washington with the brand new generous tier 2 sub. I hope life is treating you well. Thanks for that support. Welcome. Maybe I'm supposed to Legions End the Land War Elf here. Yeah, definitely should have Legions End the Land War Elf, huh? Do I have a favorite Legacy deck at the moment? Not really. Just Jeskai Stoneblade and what's the word that I'm searching for? Jeskai Stoneblade was pretty reasonable last time we played it. This is probably the mono green deck that did well at the last at the MCQ weekend. I mean, I think Historic's probably going to be reasonable right off the bat, just because like this current standard format is very reasonable. And Historic will just be this current standard format. Alright, well, glass half full. They didn't hit the forest here for the Nissa, but I think we're probably still dead here. Glad you appreciate the FUD highlight. I mean, Vinemare seems pretty good against vampires too, right? Am I winning the race if they draw another 5-drop? 4, 9? Yeah, I think I am. If they hit the land for Nissa, we're probably dead. Yeah, there's a lot of feels before reals. This feels right, so I'm gonna present it as needing to be correct. Alright, so we're hoping they just, like, draw 2 more Nissas for the next 2 turns. It's pretty unlikely. They're pretty likely to draw a Forest, but I'm not sure that we're in a position to beat Nissa coming down, so I think we just shouldn't play around it. Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm surprised my numbers were as good as they were while SCG was up. We'll do our best to give it a fair shake, Jared. Huh? Alright, we seem to draw another brick here. Morning, Zothar. That's not a forest. Alright, step 1. I have a Vanguard to chump block this again next turn. So this is the only thing that can block this, because this card can't be blocked by black creatures. I think we're probably dead. So they have to block this. They don't have to block this. If I play this, so they have to block this, so say they block here. And then I have 1, 2 blockers back. And then they're going to play Nissa and attack with 1, 2, 3 lethal attackers. So I have to leave this back because otherwise they're attacking me with 3 lethal attackers. It's really unfortunate that the draw 4 here just like hit a bunch of cards I can't cast. Like 2, it hit 2 spells, one of which I can't cast because of my current health total. If we had hit like, if we hit like an Adanto first fort, it would have been absurd because it would have been a white blocker that also would have gained us 1 life. Which would have left us in a really good position. Yeah, the game was close. Yeah, one thing I'm a little worried about with the mill deck today is the fact that a bunch of people have been playing Nexus of Fate decks, like especially like the Nexus of Fate deck, like even not even dedicated Nexus of Fate decks, but just like I have a random Nexus in my deck so I don't deck out because my deck happens to draw a lot of cards. Is definitely a little bit of a concern. Conquistador is probably not great here. You get stonewalled quite often. Does Legion's End hit Nissa lands? Oh, you know what? It does, and all their lands are the same name in their mono green deck, huh? That might be a reason. So, like, normally leaving Legion's End in because they hit Nissa lands, like, isn't often correct. But the fact that all of their Nissa lands are going to have the same name might make it right to leave at least a couple in. As a good cleanup metric. Yeah, I actually think the mill deck's going to be pretty okay against Keithis if we run into it, because there's 4 Ashioks in the main deck. Alright, this hand would like to draw lands for the first 3 draw steps. Or a Sorin. I'd like to draw a 3rd land plus a Sorin. Perfect. Sure, Rad, that's a possibility, but I think that's the exception, not the rule. Correct, Mega Vega, but it cleans up every land that Nissa has animated, which is a big deal. Delver, thank you for the very generous tier 2 sub. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. Delver and Washington, because my tier 2 subs support me a little bit extra, they get an extra perk every month. So if you want to take a peek at the deck queue, let me know if there's anything there you'd like to see a little bit sooner. You're welcome to bump something up with your tier 2 sub every month when you renew. Ah, the aggro deck's greatest enemy, a 3/3. Oh no! They knew we were soft to a 3/3 and they added a 5/4. Alright, so this pumps to a 5/6, so I can attack with this next turn, which is nice. Or I could do that. I think I want to wait on this. And I'll just get my hit in for 2 and play Sanctum Seeker here. And, like, we can grasp whatever their blocker is back this turn and then make a big attack next turn. I'm gonna get, like, Veil of Summered here and cry. That's a reason to be more aggressive last turn. Or to be less mana efficient last turn. Bump the Keith's deck. We'll do automatic. Thanks for the 813 sub. Welcome back. My rules for Legacy submissions. It's been a while since we've done Legacy. I think I'd take humans as a deck. The minimum donation for Legacy is higher though. As an FYI. Usually I look for a $50 donation for Legacy because Legacy tends to be less popular than other formats. Alright, so let's attack with Vanguard and Knight. Get a couple of Sanctum Seeker triggers in here. Why is Legacy less popular? Legacy is less popular because a lot of people consume Magic content to watch formats that they can play themselves. And because Legacy suffers from the reserved list, it's not a lot of people are able to play it. Jeskai repeat will do. We might see them smack with this turn since they played a 6/6. They're also getting pretty low though. And like I have Sanctum Seeker. $1,700 emails, yikes. Knight of the Ebon Legion is just so powerful. Now, I wonder if they'll block with this and make me use my mana for the turn or not. And then the question becomes, do I want to get Vona down or do I want to get Champion of Dusk down? I think it's probably just Vona. Because next turn, Vona can attack plus shoot Steel Leaf Champion. My opponent also feels Vona is great. Do I want Legion's End? I don't know. I probably want this cast down. Conquistador gets brickwalled really quickly on the draw, so let's trim him. Do I want to cut the other Conquistadors for Legion's End? What creatures did they play that Legion's End hits outside of Nissa lands? I guess it doesn't really. It's like Barkhide Troll and only for a very small window. It's Ramp Elves. Yeah, it doesn't seem very useful. All right, yeah, I'm just gonna do that. Pelt Collector, that's fair. And I feel like we outclass Pelt Collector a lot of the time. Yeah, Saint seems good. I think I want to lead on Legion's Landing here because the Knight is unlikely to be able to block or attack meaningfully anyways. And like, if they play like Paradise Druid here, really, you have nothing. Actual, factual, Stone Cold, nothing. Steel. Hey, Zothar. I'm glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. Thanks for dropping off that Prime. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday wherever you are. Thanks for keeping me around. Wait, do they not have a 3-mana play either? What? Yeah, I'm probably gonna do one more match after this one, Chirad. You know what? My sequencing was wrong here. I should have played Sorin pre-combat, I think, and plussed him. Yeah, I definitely should have played Sorin and plussed him, because then I could have hit, I could hit a 4th point of damage here. I'm pretty sure they have a Veil of Summer, so, like, I could just, like, be aggressive and, like, throw a Vampire at their face, but I think they would just Veil me and not take the damage anyways, so I missed a counter here because my sequencing was bad. Nope, sub upgrades and downgrades do not, or changes do not impact your Streak Sweeper. I have no idea what my opponent just kept. And that's one of the appeals. Like, we've talked about the downsides of playing decks like this. One of the very big upsides to playing decks like this is, you know, you just get to run people over when they make bad decisions. Like, when you're playing a mid-range or a control deck and your opponent keeps a hand that doesn't do anything, you don't really get to punish them. Whereas a deck like this really gets to punish people. You're like, oh, you like kept an OP hand that didn't do anything? Run you down. That seems pretty okay. If we get to attack with 3 things on turn 2, we get to flip the Legion's Landing over. Boo, mono red. Alright, because they're on mono red, I think I'm going to lead on Legion's Landing so I can try and get a lifelink hit in on 1. Or on 2. The Mirage basics. Oh, they're not mono red. Okay, deal. Oh, they're Boros Feather. Okay. Wonder how this matchup goes. I haven't played it a ton from the other side. It's probably not good for vampires when you literally never draw a spell. If I had to venture a guess, never drawing a spell makes it less good. Yeah, our lands in this one do not turn into 2/2s. It's really unfortunate. No, just buying a ton of packs is the correct way to get wildcards. You should ideally buy packs from whatever set the rares are in that you need, so that way you open some number of the rares that you're actually looking to craft, is usually how it works. It's just so incredibly unfortunate. I have Vona in my hand, so like, I'm gonna hang out, because on the off chance they don't have one of their 4 copies of Reckless Rage, this Vona could take over the game, but... Did I make a command? I feel like I made a command, but I don't remember. Dang it, bot. Stop lagging so I know if there's a command. No, I wanted a command, but talking about why I'm taking a break from playing Modern for a little bit. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to 9 here. On the off chance their hand is a bunch of lands and blanks, this Vona will be really good and potentially take over the game. That's perfect, Bulletproof Boat. Couldn't have said it better myself. Who's got 2 thumbs and concedes to Reckless Rage? This guy, right here. We're conceding to Shock, too, because they have Dreadhorde Arcanist to flash it back. Wow, that's aggressive. I mean, if they had Shock, they would have cast Shock pre-combat and killed my thing, right? They have God's Willing? Sure. Yeah, we're dead. We're dead to God's Willing, too. No, if they had Shock, they would have shocked and then flashback Shock to kill it. We have a lot of ways to kill things in this matchup. Cast Down's actually probably not good enough. We have Devout Decree and Noxious Grasp. I probably don't want all of these Legion's Ends even. Actually, Cast Down kills War Boss and Arcanist. What else do I want to cut here? This is 9, 10 removal spells. 10 might even be too many, honestly. No, I don't think 4 mana Sorin's good enough. a lot of the time when we're losing this matchup, I feel like it's because my opponent's, like, going off with Feather. Like, that game, obviously, they, like, kind of went off with Feather at the end, but we also just, like, didn't have any spells in the early game. This hand's not amazing, but I think it's in the range of keepable. Morning, Cajun guy. Thanks for keeping me around. Yikes. At least we've got Knight, which gives us something to dump mana into. He says before his Knight gets shocked. Same difference. And this is one of the concerns about having too much removal in the deck post board. You're just like, we're not a control deck, right? We're an aggro deck. We want some interaction, but you just get gummed up too much on these things. You just end up not going anywhere. Hey, Foxicon, thanks for the 1.5 years of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Right on time, Sorin. Where were you last turn, dude? Where were you last turn? Clicked mark red. Let's see how this lottery goes. God bless.
Defeating you will not bring pleasure. Our fiends thirst for life.
I bet we're dead.
Taste of my power.
Gonna like cast a Reckless Rage and the game is over. Yeah. Yep. So we went 3-3 on the ladder with Vampires, which ultimately meant we lost 120 spots, winning as many matches as we lost. I don't think this is a deck I would play again. I'd like to prefix what I'm about to say with this deck is obviously very good, and it posts a lot of results because there's a lot of people playing it and it's doing something that's definitely objectively powerful, but from a play pattern perspective, I feel like this archetype does not allot me a lot of player agency, and it's just not a deck that I enjoy playing because of that. There's just, a lot of it is just like, you make mulliganing decisions, and then your hands just kind of curve out, and you're hoping that as your hands curve out, that they're just like better than whatever your opponent can answer or put together. So the way the games tend to play out with this deck is not something that I really enjoy. Whereas, yeah, Son of Zon there, decks like the Aristocrats or Naya Feather, like the Feather deck we just played against, those are aggressive decks that have a lot of choices in them. By comparison, Pelly, I actually think Mono Red tends to have a lot of choices on average, mostly because Mono Red has a lot of reach that's also removal. So there's a lot of assessment when you play Mono Red about what your cards are supposed to be doing, because a lot of your cards in a way are modal depending on what role you're currently in a given matchup or a given game.